and we are now recording. This is a new format for me. Last year I did a Monday Morning Minute, which was a video clip every Monday morning for the entire year about how do you do business to really balance your profits, your relationships, your impact. And this year I wanted to try something new. So I'm doing a Zoom call on the fourth Monday of every month with a different topic about money. And I don't know about you, but being in small business, it can be a challenge when there's not enough cash flow. And this is not a person starting off's problem. And what I mean by that is I had a client that was definitely had earned over $1 million, was doing very well, was growing her team, and cash flow was still an issue. She had 17 employees, and you have to look at the cash flow of your business, because if not, I remember having a client that client really pulled from savings again and again and again and again. And ultimately, it drained her savings and she didn't get any clients. So you have to start to think about what it is that is going to help you get cash flow now. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to share my screen. And I have a little presentation for you. And if you aren't on mute, I heard someone else just come in. Go ahead and put yourself on mute. We're talking about low-hanging fruit today. And when we talk about it, what does that mean? And to me, it means that there are ways in your business that you can bring in more cash flow now. A story that just happened last week is that I have a client that runs a nonprofit, and he has been thinking about getting out there more and more, but has been a little resistant, and finally met with someone last week that was really interested in what they were doing, and after one conversation wrote out a check for $10,000. And it was because of the conversation that they had thought about having, and then they had it that produced and generated that cash. So I'm going to escape out of here for a second. I can tell that someone is not on mute, and I need to recalibrate the settings. So let me just stop this, and we'll get, there we go, that person on mute. So then we can go back in here. All right, so we come back, and today we really want to start to explore how can we bring in some more money now? And when we look at that, there's really only 3 ways to grow your business. We could talk about 100 different things you can do or 1,000,000 different things you can do, but there's really only 3 that it comes down to. You can get more clients. You can have your clients spend more money with each purchase that they make, or clients can come more often. But when you boil it down, if you're offering more services, that's great, but that means clients are coming more often. If you're not doing any of the 3, chances are you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're going to run into some cash flow issues. Now, when we look at this, why the low-hanging fruit? Well, it's simple. It's probably things that you have thought about doing, but you're not yet doing. It's time efficient because it's the simplest path to bring in more dollars now. It's connecting with the people who are ready to buy. And we may have some self-esteem issues. We may have some confidence issues, but your product or service is needed out there. And there's clients that are willing to pay that money. The last is it creates more cash flow now. And with more cash flow, there's a time-space continuum. And when we have more cash flow, things generally seem easier. It's like we feel more creative to get our marketing done. We feel more confident in the sales conversation. And so ultimately, creating more cash flow is going to help you. Now, there's challenges that come with this. And One is making it too complex. I've been guilty. It's like, as opposed to offer a simple class, I want to go for like a 9-month program. Launching a 9-month program is not low-hanging fruit. That takes a lot in curriculum development. It takes a lot in the graphics. It takes a lot in the sales copy. And ultimately, it can get too complex where it doesn't take you 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. It takes you a year because the details are so complex. Now, getting stuck in the details and never launching is something that happens often. I'm curious, if you just think for a moment, have you had an idea for your business that you know that would be advantageous and you just haven't done it? So the last challenge is you can't just go low-hanging fruit every time. And the reason being, if you have premium clients and you just are hammering them with offer, 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 they're going to start to feel that not as a connection and an excitement to engage with you, but being pushed at and being over marketed. So low-hanging fruit is something that you want in your strategy, but it's not the only strategy you want to work on. You do want products and services and client systems in place so that you can get repetitive business. You can get referrals from those that love your service. So low-hanging fruit. Today, there's lots and lots of ideas on low-hanging fruit. I'm going to talk about 4 that I think are going to be the most helpful for right now. And then I'm going to talk about 4 more that are a little bit outside of your business. So for the first 4, the first one, follow up with those who are interested. What I find is that there's a phrase, fortune is in the follow-up, and it's really true. For whatever reason, today, people lag in follow-up. You may have a list of people that are ready for your product or service, but you just kind of push it to the side. Or you may have people that are interested, but you're feeling like, I don't know if they're quite ready, and I'm feeling uncomfortable about that sales conversation, and I don't know what to do. If you don't know what to do, just start with a basic follow-up. Just reaching out as a point of connection. You can do that through text, you can do it through voicemail, or you could do it through email. Or if you see them, you could do it face-to-face. Those are the 4 ways to do it. Now, as opposed to like follow up really aggressively, you can just follow up and check in. Now, occasionally, for me personally, I have 2 slots that are sliding scale slots for clients that I work with. I only work with small business owners. Some of them are doing extremely well. Some of them are just getting up and started. There was a client that I had a year ago who deals with small business and the financial side, and she just has really drilled it down and does really well. But she went through some personal crisis, and she was having a hard time. So I sent her an email just following up saying, I really appreciate what you do in the business world. I know that finances are tight. Come have a conversation with me if you're interested in a potential sliding scale. Now, that can happen on the service side. On the product side, it may be that you have a few products that you can discount to really have people get them now. Now, when you're discounting things, and coaches and marketers and business people will say, never discount everything, never discount anything. And I don't believe that's true. I actually think there's a time to discount prices, and there's also a time to raise your rates. Now, a good strategy for low-hanging fruit when you raise your rates is sending out a couple of emails letting your clientele know that your product or your service is raising, and you can give a date. I usually recommend about 6 weeks. And with that date, you can let them know what the difference is, and then you can remind them that they could buy today at the current rate. And there's something very interesting when people feel like things are going to change and they're going to be higher. There's a sense of urgency. And although we know that people can benefit from our products and services at all times, when there's that little piece of urgency, it helps the brain of your client make the decision that, yes, I'm ready now. So the two things that happen for that, one is prices will be going up, and so people don't want to spend more money. But also there's a deadline. If they don't do it by now, then it'll change. And so that by now will allow them to say, yes, I'm ready, or no, I'm not ready. And if they're not ready with prices going up, they might not be ready for 6 months or a year. Now, many people will talk about a sales funnel. Like you want to start with a free offer, and then under $100, and then like $250, and then $500, $1,000. Whatever your pipeline is, it goes upward. And what I'm finding is you have to figure out your model of business. One business is to offer as much as you can to the maximum number of people in the world, because you want to help a lot of people. The other is more of a boutique service where you don't want to help everyone. You want to help a select audience, but you're actually charging higher rates. And normally when we talk about that pipeline, we talk about an upsell, like sell one more thing higher. And what I want you to consider, if you're at the premium level, think about a downsell. Like if you're a coach or a consultant and your rates are really high, you can begin to think, what's a one-off VIP day, or what's a small class that I could offer? Just thinking about what you could do differently that would be notches down, because that's lower hanging fruit for someone to say, well, I'm not ready for that big thing you offer, but I'm ready for a small thing that you offer. The last thing in the low hanging fruit on the business side is to reactivate past clients. And this is something that most people don't have systems in. I highly recommend you think about CRM, a client relationship management tool, so you can track with who's actually opening your email, who spent money last year, what was your biggest referral source, and then who are the people that love your product or service but haven't been in for a while. And sometimes just reaching out to them and having a conversation allows them to be ready to do more business with you. So if that's in your business, we want to look, sometimes cash flow outside the business for low-hanging fruit can work too. Now, one of these is Craigslist is your friend. I don't know about you, but I use Craigslist both to buy and to sell things. And I often have, like last month, we sold darkroom equipment. And we had several $100s of an enlarger and the fluids for the bath and the trays and the tongs. We had the whole kit sitting in our shed for like 3 years. And finally are like, let's have someone else use that. So you may have stuff around your house that you know has value, but you're just not getting to it. It may be a hobby. It may be something you loved in the past. Whatever it is, think about selling it to someone else. Now, the other, people really say, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in. If you do not have enough cash flow now to pay your bills month after month after month, it gets really hard to continue to find that creativity, to continue to say, I know this is going to work, especially if you're creating more debt. I'm not a fan of debt. Personally, I went through an upheaval in debt, and I haven't had any debt since. And so you want to think about that part-time job. It doesn't have to be 20 hours a week. It may be a gig one Saturday a month that's bringing in some cash flow. What is it that you could do? Now, it also might be a strategic partnership. I know someone on the call is you do pancakes, and you do these banquets or breakfasts for corporations. And it may be that there is a corporation out there that finds and recruits trainings for people. And you do a strategic partnership where that part-time job is quarterly, they send you some business. So it doesn't have to be outside the realm of where your business is now, and it can be. Now, the third thing, shift your budget. I don't know about you, but I teach, and so I see students, and we all create budgets. I have them create a budget and then a profit and loss statement. And what I find is that many of their budgets, they're spending an exorbitant amount in clothes. They're spending an exorbitant amount in food. And if you can shift your food budget and your coffee budget by a couple hundred a month, all of a sudden, you're looking at $200 a month. That's $1,200 a year. If you go year after year after year, all of that little shifting in your budget. Now, the budget could also be on the business side. I called Comcast. I've been a member forever, and I was paying over $100, and I was getting really crappy service. So I talked to them. I shared with them. I got $69.99 for the top speed, and it works like magic. And I started saving myself, what is that, $30 every month. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but when you have that conversation with your phone company and your internet company and your merchant services, all of a sudden, all those dollars start to add up. And the last is, if you're really scraping with finances, you might want to think about grants. There are grants in different cities, and I can only speak to Portland, but Portland has the PDC, the Portland Development Commission, and they have a grant for $25,000 a year for a business that if you write that grant, they select one and they send that money out. Now, that might be a long shot, but if you are struggling for money, Mercy Corps Northwest here in Oregon will do matching grant programs. What that means is if you go through their business planning process, it's about $150, and you show that you have viability in your business and you show that you are struggling financially, they will do a matching grant 3-to-1 for $3,000. That means if you save $3,000 to spend on your business, they will give you $9,000. It's not a loan. It's actually to fund small business, because what we know is that small business is the fabric of any community in any civilization around the world. And so people want your small business to thrive, and you want to start to look at who are those people that can help you. The last piece I want to share is a principle that I learned from Sean D'Souza. And Sean is out of New Zealand, and he was a cartoonist that worked at an advertising agency and began to figure out marketing. And he has something called the 70% principle. And what that principle is if you get it 70% done, get it out the door. And I'm a perfect example of that. This morning I got, Sheldon sent me an email saying I had the time wrong on the email. And I blow it often, but I realize if you create a product or a service and you're 70% done and you add 20% on a regular basis, you're going to go over 100% of what it would be had you never launched it. It's never going to get to 70%. It's never going to get to 80 or 90%. So we look at this. You got to get out of your own way. I know there's low-hanging fruit in your business right now that you've been thinking about and thinking about and thinking about. And it's about creating the strategy to get it done. The iPod example, the first iPod I think was 10 gigabyte. I mean, it didn't hold that many songs. They didn't wait until they had the iWatch. It's like they started with a product and it's evolved over time. So you can start with a product or a service and you can just let it evolve. If you add 20% every year, like I could take this low-hanging fruit and then I could start to create a paid class out of it. Now, if I just added 20% more material every year, it's going to be 70, 80, 90% by next year. It's going to be 110% the year after, rather than me just thinking about it. So I want to put it all together, the 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to share an offer if you're interested. And then I'm going to open it up to Q&A so we can really get into it and drill it down a little bit more for you. So 1, remember to create an offer now. We know you have one. If you have it, you can beta test it. You can get out there. You can try it. If it doesn't work, just keep trying, because there are a lot of people that want your product or service. And it's about showing up consistently. Now, number 2, you already have clients that are interested in what you do. You have people that are interested, and it's about letting them know that you're here. And the third is, don't wait. Don't let your confidence, your self-esteem get in your way and say, it's not ready, it's not ready, it's not ready. It's ready. And it's about getting it done and getting it out the door. So this is a microcosm for me. I wanted to create this month's Money Morning Minute into a small class. And if you need more help or you know someone that does, I do one-page plans with people. It's 60 minutes of strategy for your business to really get the vision, the mission, the objective, the strategies, and the plans. There's 5 aspects to that call. And really having it down in one page, you can see, oh, this is where my marketing is going to go this quarter, and this is what I'm doing, and these are my benchmarks and my goals. And for me, that's going to be 149 starting next week. It'll go in next week's Monday Morning Minute. If you're interested, just send me an email, and you can get it for $99. And I'm going to do a teaching moment there. We're circling back. This isn't a bait and switch. I'm trying to show you that these are principles I don't just talk about in theory, but I use them as well. And so not just for you, but anyone in your community that wants to save around $50, they can get a one-page plan and 60 minutes of my time for $99. So I'm going to turn this off. Let me get out of my share screen. And great. I'm going to go ahead and put everyone on mute. I got to figure out, I know there's a button there. And it looks like Sheldon had to bow out, but he's going to listen to the audio while he's driving. Okay, great. Don't get too engaged in the audio, Sheldon. But I wanted to open it up for questions, and you can go ahead and chat it in. And then if you say that you have a question or you just want to share what you resonated with, what I can do is I can turn your mic on. I see we have Sheldon, we have G, we have Nancy, we have Juden, we have Doreen. Is it Doreen? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And we have Tom. And so my recommendation, we're going to go for another 5, maybe 10 minutes, is that you take this time to talk about what it is that you're moving into. So I'm happy to help you, but you got to engage the next steps. So anyone have a question? And I know this is the part like, no, I'll just wait. I'll just wait. I'm challenging you to say, yeah, let's talk about this low-hanging fruit. It's like a standoff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start reaching out via chat. See if we can get a volunteer, because I think as we talk about this together, everybody gets a little bit more out of it. All right, so Tom is in the Netherlands. We're going to take you off mute, Tom. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you share a little bit, just a couple sentences on your business?
Sure. So what we're doing is we're helping coaches and facilitators and trainers to get clients online.
Mm-hmm.
And we just made an offer for like a $2,000 program.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anyone taking up on us so far. So what resonated with me was what you said, like offering a downsell.
Okay, hang on one second. I think it's Doreen, and I have to stop. I got to reset the settings because Doreen, we're all looking at your desktop right now, and I want to give you the privacy. So somehow you shared your screen. You want to stop sharing that screen? Okay, so I will share mine so we can get you off of there. And I apologize, Tom. I just I want to. Sometimes we do some weird things, and I want to make sure everybody has their own privacy. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, Tom, it sounds like you are helping facilitators to get online.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
And when you
there's
say
like psychology.
facilitators,
Yeah.
is there an industry specific or no?
Um, well, mainly there are coaches or healers that we're working with.
Great. And
And we're struggling to get
I love that you're helping them get
technology.
online because more people
Yeah.
need to get online. So you have a $2,000 program. Is that correct?
Yes, we've just created a $2,000 program. It's a
Hmm.
4-month support program, so it's $500 a month.
Okay, that seems reasonable. And so
Yeah,
what are you thinking about for low hanging fruit? Because there may be a downsell.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about
Yeah.
doing a downsell.
Yeah. And so what you may do is you may have a free class on Facebook Live would be a good example.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that free class on Facebook Live and encouraging people to get on Facebook Live, uh, or doing maybe that Facebook Live class for $25.
Yeah.
And then people who take that class all of a sudden realize how rich your content is. And then if they're
Uh-huh.
wanting to kind of go that direction, I know a lot of healers, and most healers I know have a class in them that they want to unpack. They just haven't figured out the technology to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I think that's a great idea. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
And I said free, but as opposed to free, I would do it for $25. I think it's a really reasonable rate. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can start to tap into Facebook has a lot of healing circles, right? So
Right.
you can start to go into those groups and you can offer some of them have like Wednesday offerings or certain days that you can promote what you do, and you can start
Yeah.
to share with them, hey, if you're a healer, you need to be on Facebook Live. You're not going to believe the stats. Like when I'm looking at Facebook Live and I watch the numbers for my clients that do them versus their newsletter, a newsletter gets, a certain number of hits and you can always build your database. And I'm a fan of that. But Facebook Live, if you don't have a big database, you can get
Mm-hmm.
200, 300 views just by showing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets shared a lot more in the news feed, right?
Yeah, yeah, it gets shared a lot more in the newsfeed. Now, you may want to check it out. There's enough information out there right now. The algorithm is that if you share for 10 minutes or more, it's even going to share wider. But the good news about Facebook Live is if you have most healers have a business page, and you can
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and you can do your Facebook Live, and then you can share it to your business page. And from your business page, you can share it in a community, and you've captured that small piece of video that you're teaching people how to take that small piece and make bigger pieces.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Great.
Thank you,
So
Jason.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming on the line. I can see that, like Tom, everyone's sticking around for the call, but no one is really jumping into the chat. And so G or Nancy, are you interested in just having a brief conversation? Just go ahead and type in the chat box if you are. I just see a blinking cursor. And so here's what I'll say. I have this recording. I'm going to mail it to you so you guys can review it if you want to review it. The biggest thing out of today's lesson, we can all create great ideas. You don't need another idea to put in your pipeline. What you actually need is you need one simple low-hanging fruit that you can move into. And once you check that off, you can hit another. So the lowest hanging fruit that I see, if you don't know where to go and you're not ready to start to create any new content, just start with contacting your past clients. If you're thinking about them, you can send them an email and say, I was just thinking about you. That's a true thing. Don't force it and get some slick copy that doesn't connect at all. Be yourself. I was just thinking about you and I've been wondering about how you're doing. That's enough of an introduction for them to say, oh yeah. And then, would you like to set up a time to connect so I can hear more? sometimes it's the simplest thing that we're missing the most. And so it's 8:30. I'm going to try to keep all the fourth Mondays to 30 minutes. I'm going to turn everyone off mute so we can just say goodbye together, and appreciate you taking this 30 minutes for you and for your business.
8879.
So we can hear everyone. And I just wanted to say goodbye. Bye for now.
Bye, Jason.
I'm sorry.
Bye.